Welcome to the Michael Smith Architect Podcast with your host, Michael Smith.
Hi, Mike Smith here with Michael Smith Architects Podcast, episode number 13. And we have a really great show. Last show, we had a contractor on, and this time we have another contractor on with a very different take on construction. Especially, we're going to go in and talk about a very interesting construction material that he uses, hemp. Just to give you a little primer on that. So without further ado, let's get right into it, because really love talking to Bob about this subject. So here's my interview with Bob Crizer. Everyone, and this is Mike Smith from Mike Smith Podcast, and I am very excited to have my next guest on. He's been a contractor for, well, I can't even tell you how many years. I'll let him do that. But I've had the pleasure of working with Bob Crizer on a number of projects, and he actually has a little twist on building that I hope we can get into a little bit later. But I'd like to welcome Bob Crizer. Hi, Bob.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm good, and we're actually blessed to be in an industry that's allowed to carry on when a lot of folks are having to stay home. So
yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yep.
Well, Bob, why don't we start off by telling the people listening a little bit about yourself and your company?
Grew up Ohio boy, a couple of years in the military, and wound up in San Diego going to school for architecture. Thought I was going to be a licensed architect, but moved to San Luis County because of Cal Poly. I couldn't get in. I felt like I probably ought to get a job working construction. Then I realized that my head was more about building, and then I eventually started doing some drawings, and now we do some of both. But building's been our primary focus for 37 years now. I'm on my 37th year.
Awesome.
We've built everything from residential, commercial. I had a wind energy company for a year. We do solar work. We've worked military bases and schools. So we're not afraid to step into about any game.
Awesome.
I built a lot of cellular sites for a while too. So yes.
You do what comes through the door, and you're able to do it well.
We just try to make sure we meet the client's needs.
There you go. Well, that's great. So let's start off with, how do you view the construction environment in San Luis Obispo County?
San Luis County is kind of a treasured area, as anybody that's ever visited here from anywhere else in the state, they pretty much would have to agree with that. And because of that, I believe the influx of people coming in from out of the area that would like to retire here is making a difference for us in our construction industry, because we continue to proceed without a hiccup as far as workload goes. We haven't seen any turnaround on anything because of this environment. And my opinion is the next time we hit a downturn, San Luis County will probably survive better than it ever has.
Awesome. Okay. And so what would you tell homeowners about building today? And it doesn't necessarily have to be in San Luis Obispo County, in general.
Sure. I think probably one of the things that I tell homeowners when I first get to meet them and they're talking about who to hire and how to go forward is, I really believe you hire the guy, not the money. Because if you hire the right guy, it'll be the right money. But if you hire the money, you might not get the right guy. And so that's always my simple explanation. Hire somebody you feel comfortable with, trust to take care of you, and they will do the right thing for you.
I absolutely agree.
That's my comments to homeowners.
I absolutely agree with all of that.
Uh-oh.
Are we back? Okay.
Mike, you there?
I'm here.
You're frozen on my picture.
And you're frozen on mine. Shoot. How about now?
There you go.
You're back. Okay, we'll just edit that out. I absolutely agree with that, and that's one of the things I've been asked. A friend of mine asked me, "Hey, what's the projects that were most successful?" And it really was the projects that the person focused on the vision and the team as opposed to the price and such. And looks like we are backing up. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. So you focused on the team. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to save you so much more money down the road than someone who comes in low and ends up picking drawings apart and change orders and all of that. There's such a vast difference, and the quality too, not to mention the experience. Shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really yeah. The law says we have to have contracts. Well, the contracts are about the law. It's about trust.
Yeah.
It's about shaking hands and knowing that you can trust your client and your client can trust you.
Absolutely. That is absolutely true. Okay, so let's switch gears. And, knowing that you've had some architectural training, and I know you do drawings, designs out of that office, I'm sure you've worked with a few architects. What's the biggest frustration you have with us, with our profession?
I had to think about that for a while, and really the end story is I have never really had an issue with architects. I mean,
that's great.
We try really hard to follow an architect's lead in a set of drawings to meet a client's need. And I don't even know an architect that's failed me in that. They sorry, right on screen. The architects I work with, as a rule, their job is to take care of the client, and that's my job. And I can't say I've had a big frustration working with architects.
Okay, well, that's great to hear.
Yeah,
even present company included too, right?
That's right. Mike takes good care of us.
Okay, so what challenges do you see that homeowners face during the construction process?
Well, obviously, budgets are one of the biggest things they run into. Budgets and schedules, and the issue that I try to share with homeowners is residential construction has basically it's a moving target. The scheduling of the residential project is different than a commercial project, and it always moves as you go through the project. Budget, same thing. It's always a moving target. You're hopeful that some of the items that you are the big ticket items, you hope those things are all in line. Foundation framing, those budgets are usually the ones that are the biggest budgets and the ones that are easiest to go over. So you're hopeful that the contractor's been attentive to those issues. We go over those budgets. We know what that's about, and we have a contingency built in that helps us offset that. But your biggest challenge, of course, is schedule and budgets. And some of the homeowner's responsibility in that process would be to make decisions in a timely manner and communicate with the contractor to help them be able to be on schedule. And the contractor's responsibility is to make sure that those decisions are relative to a budget or communicate to the client of what changed. So that would be it.
Great. And so what changes do you see in the future of home construction?
It's one of the items we will evolve to discussing more detail, but my personal experience and opinion is that we will move to using a product named Hempcrete as a building material that will become huge in the housing industry over the next several decades. It's going to take a while to get full speed. That's just one product that can be put in a home, but evolving to green construction is where we're headed. We will go there, and it's just a matter of bringing all the materials up to speed to help us do that.
Okay. And so on the green construction standpoint, I know I'm kind of catching you off guard. What changes are you making or that you see in plans today that address that?
Well, one of the simple things we do that's not really relative to product, but it's just a different concept that we've been using. One of the things we do to heat homes today, and we design and build brand new homes, but we don't put any heating systems in there unless they're in an environment that needs cooling. But when you're in an area that doesn't need heating, we actually heat homes with fireplaces, gas-fired fireplaces. We set the fireplace up to have an automatic thermostat, comes on and off at whatever temperature you set it, more than likely 70 degrees, 3 feet above the floor. Then we put an intake fan in the ceiling across the room from the fireplace, and we run ducts from that fan into the bedrooms. And that fan is set on a thermostat that comes on about 6 or 8 degrees higher in temperature than the temperature of the fireplace. And so what that fan does is pull waste heat off of the ceiling that never gets used and dumps it into the bedrooms. And it only really does that when the fireplace is going, but that fireplace is on a thermostat. And so your house can sit at a good even temperature based on your fireplace coming on and off by itself. I converted my fireplace to a gas-fired unit about 6 years ago. I have a 2-story, 2,300 square foot home, and I haven't turned the heater on since. I'm a believer. We've done about 6 or 7 new homes this way, and not one person has said, we need a heater.
Wow. I tell you, I have not even thought about doing that. And that is, because you get that usual comment back from the building department saying, please state how you're going to heat this room to meet Title 24. And it's mainly because I forgot to note that there's a wall heater or something like that. But what a great idea. And I'm right. I've taken notes on that. So I'll be adding that to my repertoire, because what an easy way to do it.
The heating guys don't like it.
I bet they don't. But the fireplace guys certainly do.
That's right, they do. But we've built. I want to say I've built 7 or 8 brand new homes now that don't have heating units.
Now, are you applying that to when you do a remodel?
We do. We add bedrooms. If we add bedrooms and they have a gas-fired fireplace, we can just do that same thing instead of tied to their forced air. A lot of times, the forced air in a remodel will need to be updated.
Yeah.
So we give the client the option to go the other direction, and most clients will use the fireplace.
Okay. Because they usually want that anyway, and to get double duty out of it and save them a couple $1,000s, I imagine is good motivation.
Yes, the fireplaces, we tell people they're a budget about $3,000, give or take a few, and this other system we add to it's about $1,200. So you wind up for about $4,500 to heat your home, where a standard forced air for a whole new house would be $6,500 or $7,000. So you save some money and use waste to be able to heat the homes.
Exactly. Okay, terrific. Okay, so let's go through what mistakes do you see homeowners making during construction?
Probably the biggest mistake they could make would be hiring the wrong person. And once again, that just goes back to be sure you hire the right guy. Or I say guy, there are women that are doing my job, and I should be open to that. So you hire the right person. But the other big issues that you want to make sure you're on top of is when you go through the budgets, that there are relatively specific specifications that you are supportive of for finishes. The finishes often can move the budget, a bit. It's not the highest issue structure, but the finishes, by all means, to be on top of that early. And making the wrong choices could affect your budget. So interfacing with your contractor about what was in his budget and what your desires are is a big issue. So, be cautious about your choices and communicate with your contractor.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's switch gears to, go back to what you kind of briefly mentioned in the future of home construction. And I know we've talked about building with hemp and such. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about it, and we'll delve a little deeper into it.
Okay. Hemp became a big deal for me a few years ago because, oddly enough, I had an autoimmune disease, and it went on for 16 years and 40,000 into Ford, UCLA, Cedars-Sinai, Mayo Clinic, no solution. I took CBD about 3.5 years ago, and I haven't been sick since after 16 years. So I immediately said, what the heck is hemp? And started chasing it. And of course, being in my business, I evolved into the building side of it. I wound up in Colorado a couple of years ago and built a building out of hempcrete. So let's talk about hempcrete. Basically, hempcrete is the stalk of the hemp plant that has been run through a machine called a decorticator, and it breaks it up into little wood chips. And the wood chips now get mixed with hydraulic lime, which is basically limestone that's been powderized. You mix it with the hydraulic lime and water. And the hemp, it's called hurd, H-U-R-D, the wood chips. The hemp hurd absorbs the lime. It gets moist, when it gets wet, it absorbs the lime and becomes cement-like or stone-like. And then we, at the Colorado project, we formed both sides of a stud wall, and we hand compacted hempcrete from the foundation all the way to the ceiling. Then we put strips of lath on the ceiling, put plywood up, filled the ceiling joist with it, and took the plywood down. After it cures in about 6 weeks, you trowel a lime plaster outside and a lime plaster inside, and it's finished. That's the house. The wall will continue to absorb carbon out of the air for up to 100 years. So, wow. And it doesn't outgas any negative chemicals into your environment. It absorbs those. So it's a really green product. The one issue working with hempcrete today in the United States is that it is not part of our building code. So we are still challenged, which is part of why Mike has been approached about this, is we're going to work together to try to push this through to where a building code is available so that everybody can do it. At this point right now, each person that wants to do this has to go dance with a building department to try to get it through.
So the local building department has jurisdiction over that product at the moment.
Yes, and I've communicated with them, and they're basically saying, submit a plan and let's talk about it. So okay. I do have a head building official in Paso that just said, come on, man, we're supportive of this, get in the door. So I haven't seen a project come up that I can do that up there, but okay. We're working on it. So one of these days it's going to walk in the door. And I actually have a subdivision I'm trying to do that's for housing that we're calling it next generation housing that people can afford to buy, where I'm hoping to build these homes and sell them in the 350,000 range. Wow. So I want to build that out of hempcrete. So the other things that are being made out of hemp are wood flooring right now. They're making it in Kentucky. They're building surfboards out of hemp fabric and hemp resin. There's airplanes flying around that are built out of hemp fabric and hemp resin. We anticipate that we'll be able to build the big microlam beams we use. Those will eventually be built out of hemp and become structural. The intent is eventually to build out a hempcrete where we don't have to use 2x4 studs, because the walls themselves can handle the loads. They just haven't been tested and proven to do so.
Okay,
so it's an evolving thing. The theory is that by the time my grandchildren look around their home, 85% of what's in their home. And I'm back.
Okay, there you
go. For some reason, it just went blank. So, yeah.
I heard 85%. So
they're saying our grandchildren will look around their home, and 85% of what's in their home will be made from hemp. And it's just a matter of evolving into the right environmental world. A lot of people don't realize it, but Ben grew it, George grew it, Thomas grew it. It was part of our heritage. They actually allowed farmers to pay their property taxes by delivering tons of hemp. Betsy Ross's flag is on hemp fabric. The Declaration of Independence is hemp paper. And people just have been wrongly informed since the 30s about hemp. It's not marijuana. It's an entire different product that is usable in the environment and safely usable. So it's coming. It will happen, and it's just a matter of gradually evolving. And somebody like Mike might help us get it through permits.
Hey, I'm ready, because I think it is so cool that we actually have a building product that we don't have to worry about, volatile gases and such, that actually will breathe and take the carbon dioxide that's in a home out of it. And we might actually have environments interior that are better than exterior. And that's actually really exciting to see, to have that opportunity to be involved in that. So right now, though, if we did a project today, we were really looking at forming it out of wood and then using this as the infill and the finished interior and exterior of the home.
Correct. And it basically, as a rule, to get an R26 insulation, you build about a 12-inch thick wall. Okay. So you got a standard stud wall, and then you form outside and inside with spacing off of the studs and fill it to the top. And one of the other great benefits of hemp is the fact that the crop can produce so much material. I can build a 1,200 square foot home out of 3 acres, and in that 3 acres, 4 months. 4 months to grow that crop.
But you have enough material to build that home
in 4 months.
Wow!
And the crop pulls pesticides and herbicides out of the soil. It doesn't need pesticides and herbicides to grow, and it replenishes the soil with nitrogen. It's a miracle crop. Okay.
It certainly sounds like it was designed to solve a lot of problems. And I just want to point out for people who, you mentioned the subdivision, and you're trying to build it so that it's $350,000. And for those who are not in the area, that's like half the price of what a new project would go for today. So to hear those numbers is actually amazing. And it would be an incredible boon for this area if we could get a project like that off the ground, a model, which is what it would be for the rest of the county. And so
it'd be for the rest of the country, because right now there are 51 or 52 homes made out of hempcrete in the United States, and I plan to build 27 in Los Osos.
That's true. Yeah, there you go. Gosh, and you've just, so the biggest, I'm going through my list of questions and you've knocked them all down. So the biggest hurdle right now is just finding a project in Paso Robles, since they are very open to saying, hey, come on, bring it in.
Yeah, Paso Robles. And once I told the county that Paso Robles was standing there with the door open, the county had to take a deep breath and say, yeah, I guess we better open the door. So we've already approached them on the fact. So yeah, so if we can get one in the county, they're anticipating. I've been feeding the county with emails. I've printed stuff out of books and taken it to Mike Stoker and the head county guys. And so I'm feeding them with a little research so that they can be ready. And it's just a matter of walking in the door with the right project.
Okay. Well, then my last question is, what's the next step? Is just getting that one project going and such.
Well, one of the things we want to do here in the near future, Mike, and I'd love to get you in the game on it. We got some Cal Poly kids, and I'm on the Cal Poly Hemp Club advisory board, and we've got some Cal Poly kids tied to the architecture program that we've got a client up in the Paso area, outside Paso. They want us to come up and build a model little building that we won't need a permit for.
Okay.
And they want, it's like just basically a roof with some walls and a picnic table inside kind of thing to have the shade structure almost. So that thing we pretty much can say, okay, let's go on any schedule. I've been busy and haven't pulled it off, but we just need a quick drawing, and then we're going to invite the Cal Poly Hemp Club team to come up there and get involved in putting it together.
Awesome.
We'll probably camp out on site for 2 or 3 days and build this thing. So that's one thing. And the guys that own that property also want a structure that is a 4-bedroom home built out of hemp. And so those guys are real valuable. And once again, the Cal Poly kids have thrown out a concept to them because I connected them. And now if we get a concept, then it might move right onto your desk to create a project. That we
I'm ready, because I'm really excited. I think this, we've had this conversation before, and it just absolutely amazes me how compatible this product is to our environment and building. And it is so rare that we have something like that. It would be fantastic to experiment with, what we can do to it, to elevate it and such, so people don't start looking at it as, oh, this is a great hemp house. I want them to look at it as, this is a fabulous home. And that's where we break through the barriers on that. And I'm in. Just let me know what I need to do, and I'm there on it. So
we will.
That's fantastic. Well, one of the guests I have coming up also I think actually next week is Jesse from the building department. And I'll start feeding it from my side that, hey, I heard about this. What do you know about it? And if he doesn't know, then, another education, because either him or Matt are probably going to get it when it comes through the office. So we might as well start getting it down to the plan checker level too.
Yep. I might just drop Jesse a note and give him a couple things to go do a little review so he doesn't feel blindsided.
Oh, I would never do that. We send him questions just like you. So you're absolutely right. We don't want to blindside him. And he actually has to get it cleared by the county, the building department.
Right.
So, don't want those architects to take over too much. Bob, I got to tell you, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I am absolutely excited about what could be happening in the next couple of years here, and be a model for the rest of the country. That actually really excites me too, to focus on something so positive for the environment when we get kind of nailed on the building side for cutting down trees and all of that. It'd be nice to turn that corner another way. So I appreciate your time. Any last thoughts?
Okay. Just a couple notes to take away, or one note. Well, a couple notes to take away about hemp that people don't know. It was outlawed in 1937. William Randolph Hearst and Nelson Rockefeller connected with some elected officials and got them to put a bill into Congress that created hemp as a drug, and basically outlawed it. And the reason they were involved in that is because hemp grown for pulp to make paper products, which that was Hearst's giant corporation.
True. Yep.
1 acre hemp grown for pulp replaces 4 acres of trees in 4 months instead of 20 years.
Wow.
Rockefeller had forests to make paper and didn't like hemp. And then the other one was, not Rockefeller, Hearst. And then Rockefeller was aware that Henry Ford's first car had plastic made from hemp, ran on hemp ethanol, and was lubricated with hemp oil. And Rockefeller didn't like Henry.
Yeah,
That's why it was outlawed.
Okay, the story behind the story.
Yep. And one of the things that's fabulous is this property where I want to build this shade structure is on a ranch that used to belong to William Randolph Hearst.
Well, coming full circle in almost 90 years. So maybe we can get this done and show the world that. So that is fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate your time. We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye. Well, that was a fantastic interview. I really enjoyed learning about it, and I'm telling you, I'm really kind of excited to have the opportunity to work with Bob on this new building material. New for us. It's been around for centuries since it got outlawed and such, but now it is back, and it really sounds like a fantastic product, especially for these times when we're so concerned about our planet. And this is one product that from growing to building can help the planet. So I'm really excited to be a part of that. And as we go through the process, I will certainly update you on what is going on and such. So that's our podcast for today. Like always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at Mike at michaelsmitharchitect.com. Or if you have a project you want to do, same email, let me know. I'd happy to help you out with your remodel or custom home, and give you the same service I've been giving my clients for the last 30 years. So I talk to you next time. I hope you're staying safe. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for a new episode coming soon.